Okay, welcome back everyone to The Athlete's Mind. I think we're at episode 30 now, which is kind of crazy because it's been like 8 months, but it hasn't felt that long. Today, we're joined by Lachy Toomath. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. You know, we've actually been planning this one for a while, but, you know, a bit of water polo episode. A few Trinity guys have been asking about this one, so hopefully you enjoy. You know, Lachy, how you doing today? How's the training been going?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Just finished up the season, so pretty keen to hop on the podcast and talk to you about a bit of polo.
You know, we appreciate you having you on. My water polo knowledge isn't great, but, you know, good to get a bit of insight, especially on the mental side. The first thing I actually want to start off with that we ask everyone when they come on is, how did you actually get into water polo? How did you find out you had a passion for it?
So I grew up with water polo. So my mum played it in Geraldton. That's where I'm originally from. So I've always been around the pool, and then it was pretty much, I didn't really have a choice. So I just had to start playing, and then kind of just never stopped really, and just kept going, just kept getting better.
Yeah, nice. Were there any other sports that you played growing up, or was like it just straight into water polo, this is what I want to do?
Oh, no, I played heaps of sports. Played a bit of basketball, footy, hockey, but polo was the one that really stuck out to me. I think the community was the best bit about it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned hockey. Before this podcast, you spoke to me about it, but you used to be state goalkeeper. Is that right?
Yes, I did. Back in my under 14s days, I was a state goalkeeper for hockey, but kind of just the love for it just fell out really. But yeah, continue with polo.
Yeah, that happens. You know, like you play all these different sports, especially once you get older, you end up picking which one actually matters to you the most. And for you, that was water polo, and you've succeeded in that, which is great. Were there any junior memorable moments you had playing water polo, or even hockey, basketball, anything you mentioned, grand finals? I know there's a few on that list, but yeah.
Probably winning my first grand final in water polo is C grade. I think it was about 2 years ago, to about this date. And it was the most wicked experience winning it, getting out the pool, and then just like getting the medal on your neck, and just everyone being like around you. It was probably just like pretty surreal, you know.
And you know, like out of the grand finals you have played, obviously I've gotten to know you over the last roughly almost a year now, but you've competed in many grand finals. You recently won a grand final. Out of, I think was it a 4P or a 3P?
4P.
4P, yeah, geez. Out of the bunch, which one was the best, would you say?
It's hard to say, really. Like, they're all really special. Like, the 4P this year was wicked, especially getting the 4P. I got best on that game, so it was a wicked experience. And then we went away to this other tournament, and we won that. And that was cool because it was with different people. So I don't really have a favourite one. I just look back on them all separately, I think.
They're all special in their own way.
Yeah.
And one thing that I am very interested in asking you about, I don't think we've had anyone on this podcast, you know, sort of have this, but like you mentioned, you are from Geraldton. You've moved to Perth, obviously for water polo reasons. How has the move been from Geraldton? You know, have you like sort of struggled a little bit in that aspect, or have you found it pretty smooth sailing with that?
100% I've struggled, and like I think everybody does. It's a coming of age thing, moving away from your parents, and I just did it at a younger age. But I wouldn't move back to Geraldton. Like the first 6 months were pretty difficult. Like, used to call my mum every night, being like, "Oh, I hate this. Like, take me back." And then you kind of get settled in, you make friends, and then smooth riding. But it's such a good experience to move away and to get independence, to like cook dinner for yourself every night, to do like just little things that your parents do for you every night that you don't realise that you take granted for. So, but no, it was difficult, and I stuck through it, and I'm happy I stuck through it, and I surrounded myself with good people. So. 100%, but yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, like you mentioned, those life skills, so important, you know, like people don't realise, you know, like our parents are cooking dinner for most of us every night, but you're having to do that for yourself, and learning that at this age, I think that's going to help you in the future, because you already know what that's like. You're learning those skills now, which is awesome, and I think a lot of people, it might be a bit of a shock for them when they get a bit older, learning that sort of stuff. But a question I do have for you, what's the biggest difference from the Geraldton life to maybe a city life?
Or it's the people. Like, it's just it's almost like two different worlds in a way. Like, I think Geraldton's really centered around the beach, and it's a very, like, it's a tight-knit community and everybody knows everybody. Where Perth is, because it's so big and it's so spread out, like, it's a bit harder, but there's still, it's a still tight-knit community. It's just there's a lot more little communities to make up one big community, kind of.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, I've never actually been to Geraldton, but I can definitely imagine, like, it would be different with the communities. Obviously, for you, the biggest community you've probably been a part of here is Trinity, that you've come to. So how has Trinity been? How have you found it? The water polo, or even just, the lads at the school?
Yeah, it's good. It was a bit of a shell shock coming into an all-boys school because I was at co-ed.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, no, I love it at Trinity. Like, it's good boys, good canteen, so can't complain.
Yeah, canteen. Yeah, geez, those Vegemite scrolls, mate. Nothing beats them. Now, at the time that we're recording this, it hasn't been announced yet, but by the time it's released, it would have. First of all, I want to congratulate you. You won MVP at Trinity.
Cheers, mate.
So yeah, well done for that. Coming to Trinity last year, was that sort of a goal you had for yourself? Were you expecting to sort of be a standout player? How's the feeling winning MVP?
I kind of came in with an open mind. I thought, I'm a year 12, I'm a year 11, 12, so I'm going to be a senior this year. So I thought maybe there's a chance I could be one of the starters. And that was my goal for the season. My goal was just to start.
Yeah.
And then I think I started every game I played. So then it kind of came in that I was like, okay, maybe I'm in the top kind of half of the players, but I never really wanted to be the MVP. I just wanted the team to win. I'd rather have a team win over, have more goals.
100%. And at Trinity in your team, you don't have to name any names, but who sort of, would you say, involved you the most? Like, when you first got to Trinity, there was that one guy that sort of went up to you and like, yo, you're part of this team, you're part of this community, because obviously it can be a bit hard fitting in when you first go. Anyone in our year or even the year 11s that sort of helped you in that aspect?
I think Bryce Flammer. So
Bryce.
I had an interview and I kind of this is before I fully moved to Trinity, but Mr. Burns showed me around the campus and everything. And Bryce, who I'd met before through water polo, had come up to me and showed me around the campus as well, which was just a wicked experience. It showed me that he would go out of his way to help me, which was really nice. So I appreciate that a lot.
It's good to have. And obviously with water polo, training is very intense. It's early mornings, sometimes it's late nights. What does training usually look like for you in a week? Give us a bit of insight into your schedule.
So when I was at the full of it, it was Monday mornings. I'd have swim training with school.
Yeah.
Go to school, get home, I'd do my homework, and then I'd have a Monday night game.
Jeez.
Next morning, I'd wake up. Tuesday morning, I'd have training, and then I'd get home from school, and then I'd have training after school, and then I'd go Wednesday. I'd wake up, and it'd be the only day I could sleep in. Oh no, Wednesday I had swim training that morning as well, and then I'd have another game Wednesday night, and then Thursday I'd have water polo training in the morning, and then water polo training after school. And then Friday would be another morning swim session, and then Friday I had the day off, and then Saturday I'd have a game, and then Sunday I'd have a recovery session.
Yeah. Are you more of a morning person or a night person? I'm sure you probably got used to being a morning person.
Yeah, you kind of just get into this routine. It's pretty hard. I can't wake up to alarms, so my sister has to wake me up every morning. Otherwise, I'll sleep through them. But
can't wake up to alarms.
Nah, I don't know what it is. I just sleep through them.
Yeah, geez. I mean, I can only wake up off alarms. I need something loud to wake me up. I'm not a morning person. That's why water polo would never work for me. But no, it's good you commit yourself to that. Does the late nights, you have mentioned this earlier, but do the late nights get tough for you? Especially like you mentioned before, when you're making your own food and having to get home, sort of do a lot of your own stuff. Time management, is that sort of a hard thing though? Have you sort of gotten better at that?
I'm pretty useless at it, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah. Sometimes I've got 8:45 games, which are 20 minutes away from where I live. So I get home and sometimes it's 10:30, and I've still got to maybe eat dinner and then do some washing, and it's 11 o'clock. And then by the time I get to bed, it's 12, and you're waking up at 5. So
yeah, it's tough, man.
But you kind of just got to push through it, really.
Yeah. And it's your passion at the end of the day. So that's sort of what makes up for it. And along this journey, it's been a tough journey, I'm sure. Who has been some coaches, even back in Geraldton or here in Perth, some coaches or mentors that have sort of been there to help you along the way?
I think my school coach, Greg Jones, has really helped me. I went through a bit of a rough patch mentally, probably at the end of last year, and he just took me aside, talked to me about it, and always is really big on the mental health thing, and which is very good, I think, as leading forward, especially at an all boys school, just to talk about it, and he helped me out a lot, which I really appreciate.
And living here, you are living with your sister, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever talk to her about, just even if you're struggling sometimes at school, having someone there? Has she definitely been someone?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Just talking to somebody just helps you so much. Doesn't really matter who it is, but as long as you can get it off your chest, I think it's just important to do that.
Yeah. And, looking into the future as water polo as a viable career, is there anywhere specific that you want to end up in water polo, or are you just sort of going with the flow at the moment?
I've got a few little places in mind, but I'm just kind of enjoying it, see how far I can go with it, I love the sport so much that I don't really care what happens. I just want to be able to keep playing it for as long as I can.
That's a good mentality. Is water polo, like I said, I don't know too much about this actually, but is water polo viable for a pretty decent professional sporting career?
Not in Australia. It's not. You couldn't live off the wages. The only place really you could go would be Europe, and you'd have to be the top of the top to make livable and a good earning. But most professional water polo players have a job.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And what about any other interests you have for a career? At school, learning anything that you might be interested in?
I'm doing uni ready, so hoping to go to uni. Maybe be a physio, but not too sure yet.
And what has water polo taught you in other areas of your life? Because, out of all the athletes that we have interviewed on here, they always say how much their sport has impacted other areas, whether that's taught them discipline or motivation. Would you say water polo has impacted in a positive way in other areas?
Yeah, 100%. And I think discipline and all these clubbed ones come up heaps, but the tight-knit community that you have in water polo, because it's so small, I think talking to people and just being around that really helps you out. And going back to the mental health thing again, I think that's probably one thing that water polo is really good at, is that if you do need somebody to talk to, there's so many good people around that you can talk to. So I think that's probably one of the best things I've gotten from water polo is the friendships and the people I can talk to and trust to talk about stuff that maybe is hard to talk about.
Yeah, especially with men's mental health, a lot of guys don't really like opening up about it. But I think, as we're getting older, I think a lot more people are starting to, which is, it's good because, you need to, like you say, you need to get it off your chest. One thing that I do want to ask you though, you have played in men's team, right, for water polo?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that community? Maybe compared to teenagers?
Yeah. So, I grew up playing men's and we didn't have age. So coming to an age comp where it was under 18s was a lot weirder for me because I was playing kids my age and I was okay. Because when you're playing men and you're 14, they're all stronger than you. But once you're 16 and you're playing against other 16-year-olds, it's you feel like you're in the right element, kind of. You feel like you belong there. Yeah,
and something that, like I said, I don't know too much about water polo, but with water polo, technically talking, water polo gets pretty rough, under the water. Do you have any funny stories with the roughness and what actually goes on? Some people don't even know. If you could just tell us what actually happens there.
I don't know where to start, but yeah, it's a very physical game. And you see here, you're only wearing little bathers, so
yeah, I'll go on to them in a second. But
I've had I've broken a few of my fingers, really? Black eyes, stuff like that.
What's the fingers broken from? Is that
catching the ball or people go out and break them?
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, right? Because you can't see half of this stuff. In water polo, because obviously underwater. As a spectator, you can't see it.
So a lot of it is underwater. There's not a lot of punching above the water. It's a lot of dirty stuff under the water that you get taught.
Especially as a ref, that'd be hard to
and because if you're splashing heaps, all the white water comes up, so you can't see a lot. So there's a lot of little tricks you do underwater to get your way.
That's crazy. People break the fingers though, like that.
Yeah. So this finger here was broken, so it's pretty bent.
Yeah, I can see. Jeez, yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy. That's a bit of a shock to me. Obviously you did mention these.
Yeah.
You know, Lachy's kind enough. He's got me a gift for this one. You know, I haven't had anyone actually get me a gift for the podcast before, so I do appreciate it. Can we get a bit of backstory on this one, actually?
Yeah. So last year I went away for my first nationals in Brisbane, and we played against this team, Drummoyne, who you got on the bathers.
I'll hold him up. Yeah.
And the bloke I got him off, his name was Izus, and he was like, he was a wicked bloke, and I was like, well, do you want to trade bathers? And we traded bathers, and I've got so many. I thought, better bring some for Tony.
Yeah, that's the thing in because obviously in basketball you see people trade like basketball jerseys, and then in water polo, I didn't know people did that. That's actually pretty cool. This is very random, but I thought I had to bring it up. I think you already know what it's going to be. When I was researching you before this podcast, I came across something. It was actually a skydiving video of you going skydiving. I'm just genuinely curious, to be honest, like how you got into that situation.
Yeah, it was when I was younger. I'd always wanted to go skydiving, and then one Christmas, Mum just bought me tickets to go skydiving, and I was like, "Oh, wicked!"
Yeah.
And then there was like this video thing package. It's just like, "Oh yeah, we'll get a video of it," not realizing that they publish it on YouTube, so everybody can see. So, it was a bit of a shock when I found out everybody, I'm on YouTube and it's got a few hundred views.
Yeah, you search up your name and it's like one of the first things that comes up. So that's pretty funny. You mentioned your mum. How is the relationship with your mum? I'm guessing she's very supportive of you.
Oh, 100%. And she just wants the best for me, like any other mother would. But she's just gone above and beyond. Like she comes down almost every weekend to like watch one of my games, and it's like a 4.5 hour drive. So
yeah, jeez,
it's
good to have that, especially like because you're here a bit isolated, having your mum come down. That's awesome support.
Yeah.
And out of all the teams you have played for in water polo, which one would you say you've enjoyed the most? Like, I'm sure, for example, I interview a lot of basketballers and there's so many teams they've played for. But out of all the teams you have played for, which ones have been the most competitive or best culture, that sort of stuff?
The most competitive, I reckon, was when I represented Geraldton and we went away and played against all the other country towns. And that was the best. Like, it was so fun, and it was we weren't dominating any of the other team, and a lot of games were pretty close. And then the best culture, I reckon, was also my Geraldton home club, and because I've grown up around a lot of these boys, and some of them are like 30, 25 years old, coming up and like coming from being like 8 to being able to play with them, it's just like, it's kind of like a dream come true, really. And then winning the 4-peat with them, it was just, that would be just amazing.
And how would you see a PSA, obviously at Trinity, a PSA league compared to these, in your opinion?
PSA is crazy. Like, it's so weird because like it's school, but like there's Australian level players playing for their school, and like, but I love PSA
because of the rivalry. It brings it. Like, I mean, I was in the cheer squad for this one, but you were in the swimming carnival at Trinity recently. How was that experience? Actually,
that was the wildest experience. It was the most eye-opening experience I've ever, because I've been to inter-school swimming or ACC, so that's where like my Geraldton school would come down and compete against Perth schools, but it's nothing like the ACC. Like the chants and everything, and everybody just coming together was just amazing.
Yeah, and you were telling me not long ago, obviously like with the grand final, I know I did ask you about this before, but out of those 4, I did ask you which one was your favourite, but which one sort of like, what was the difference from the first one and the 4th one? What was the reason that you guys were able to maintain a winning streak in that?
Just, I think, playing a different game every year. We're not sticking to the same thing. So, like, we would change it up every year, and we'd have new people come in, so we'd have different strategies, and we'd move the ball differently. It wasn't the same game plan every single year. We
sort of switched it up.
Yeah, we'd switch it up every year. We'd tweak it, and And then fitness I reckon as well. You just got to be fit to play, and swimming wins games, so that helps.
I think you did mention to me before as well that you don't actually like swimming too much.
I hate swimming. It's like running though, like for football. You have to be a good runner to play footy. Yeah. And the thing about running is if you go for a run, you're going and you can like look at things. When you like swimming, straight down, look at this black line, drowning yourself for an hour.
Mate, I hate swimming anyway. Like, I'm shocking at it, but I can imagine like it's boring. But you have to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And going on to next year, you're in year 12. You know, you're graduating this year. Future's bright. What do you sort of? I know you did mention uni, but for next year, 2024 specifically, do you have a game plan going into the year? Not even in water polo, just in anything really.
Yeah, kind of. So, next season for water polo, I want to be playing A-grade men's for Triton, my team.
But will you be staying in Perth for next year? Or?
Yeah, I will be staying in Perth next year. Yep. Yeah, I won't be moving back to Geraldton. But yeah, I'm looking at playing A-grade men's, so one of the top competitions in Perth. Yeah, and then I'm just saying what happens, going with the flow. If I go to uni, I go to uni. If I get a trade, I get a trade. But going with it pretty much.
So with the career, like no matter what you do, I'm guessing you just want to keep playing water polo, basically.
Yeah,
even
pretty
if
much.
Even if it's just for fun.
Like I just enjoy the game so much. That's what matters. Loves the sport.
And for the people watching, like a lot of people actually have been requesting a water polo episode, especially from Trinity. What advice would you give to the younger guys coming through the system who want to take water polo somewhere, who want to actually, you know, strive for something in the sport?
You've just got to swim. It's something you hate to do, but you just have to swim and then focus on like a lot of your basic techniques, how you hold the ball, how you shoot, and get everything right, and then try to do the fancy stuff. A lot of people I know would say this, but your fitness wins games. Like if you can swim for 4 quarters, it's the best thing, and it makes the game so much more fun. You enjoy the game more.
100%. Like if you put in that hard work behind closed doors, you know, at your training, then it just makes the games better because you're fit, you're ready to go, and I think that's the biggest thing that people can take from advice wise, because a lot of people don't realize that they actually have to put in work. You know.
Yeah.
So that about wraps up the questions. Just one more thing, you know, we ask everyone this before they leave. If you could be any athlete in the world, who would it be and why? Doesn't have to be water polo. It can be any sport. It can be past or present. We get many different answers.
Oh.
I'll give you a second to think about it, but we've had NBA players, NFL, Tiger Woods.
Mate or B? Like, we going to meet them or?
No, like B. Oh. Like, like literally like live like in their prime. Like, for example, if I said Muhammad Ali.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh. Probably Wilt, eh? Didn't he like sleep with heaps of birds? No, jokes.
I mean, you're not wrong, but that's a good one actually.
Yeah, probably Wilt Chamberlain.
I rate that. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. Cheers, mate. I really enjoyed that. I appreciate it. First water polo episode we've had. We wouldn't mind doing a couple more. I wish you the best for your future, and I'm very excited to see where you take water polo and in life. So, thanks for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
Everyone listening, this will be on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Apologies for last week. That episode was not on YouTube. We're only able to get a recording of that one. That won't be the case for the rest of this year. Go and follow the socials, go and follow Lachy, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you.